Hello friends, we are back once again with our Life Journal Jumpstart, and so hopefully you got your Bible and your journal and your pen, because I think God has something really powerful in his reading this morning. And so we're continuing with Job chapter 5, and we're continuing with this man who once had everything and now has nothing, and his faith is being put to the furnace. His faith is being placed in the fire and in the suffering, in the discomfort, and we're seeing where his allegiance truly lies. In Job 5, we're met once again with Eliphaz, and he's continuing his monologue about Job and his suffering, and he's trying to figure out and diagnose Job's situation, and he believes that his logic and his thinking can very easily solve this situation, but it is not as simple as it may seem to him. And Eliphaz is still continuing about this idea that Job must have done something wrong. Ultimately, his misfortune stems from something Job did, and we know that this is false thinking, as Job did nothing wrong, but he still is receiving the discomfort. And Eliphaz reminds Job that if he would just admit this, his misfortune would be reversed. And Job 5, he goes on to lament the suffering of Job, and it's very fitting. Psalms 108, a psalm from David, as he pulls from other content from the Psalms, writing this psalm of lament, and ultimately he puts his confidence and hope in a good God who will save them, who will protect them, and who will guide them. In Acts chapter 10, we have a very pivotal chapter that's going to shape the entire world and the entire New Testament, with this idea that God is taking the gospel to every sphere of influence. He isn't calling people from the Roman world to come to certain areas. He's taking his goodness to the people, and we see that with Peter and Cornelius, a centurion who would be a leader over 100 other Roman soldiers. God takes the goodness and love of God to Cornelius, the centurion, and changes his entire life. And in verse 9, we have this monumental passage where God is overturning the unclean and clean distinction, as well as other Mosaic ceremonial laws, and saying, hey, let me get rid of these things. It's not just for the Jewish people. My message and my gospel is for everyone. And this is such a powerful and transforming reality that you no longer have to worry about sacrifices and festivals and certain things and other ceremonial laws. All you have to worry about is me, and that my love and my message is for everywhere. I'm overturning this prerequisite. There's no obstacles to get to me. You can just come. Everyone is accepted. Every nation, every person, every language, everyone can approach me. And I love this because God shows no partiality, and he's bringing his message to everyone. In Acts chapter 11, Peter reports to the church, and we have this event in Antioch where the disciples are first called Christians, and the church is forming. The people are growing and gathering, and the goodness of God is spreading and multiplying. And because God started and pioneered this, and he is walking with his people, this will grow and expand and multiply, ultimately in a way that the entire world will get to encounter the person of Jesus. And ultimately that his news is so good that people cannot keep it to themselves. There's something about this message that they have to share to the person next to them. And we read of this message in Acts 10:11, where God is taking his message to everyone and everywhere. And this is good news. And so we're continuing tomorrow as we read of the story of God doing something amazing in history. And so we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.